Today's segment on geology is to bring awareness to the effects climate change is having on the Arctic and polar bear populations. Polar bears are predators that are solely reliant on seals for food, and hunting has become extremely difficult for them because of the depletion of Arctic ice from Earth's warming. The melting and thinning of ice has impacted this species to the point of endangerment. Polar bears aren't made for walking large distances, and in today's conditions, they have to walk miles to find food and swim much more than they were accustomed to. Although they are amazing swimmers, they aren't meant to swim for miles, especially when they are starving. Sadly, most mothers lose their cubs to the ocean, further decreasing the population of polar bears. During their quest for food, polar bears are functioning on stored body fat and losing it fast, but they can also gain it back as fast as they lose it. The thing is that they aren't gaining it back anymore, and more often find themselves relying on body fat to the point that they run out of it and start losing their muscles, which in turn affects their hunting tactics, which consists of knocking out their prey with both paws, making them weaker hunters. Melting ice isn't the only obstacle polar bears are facing. With depleting ice sheets and glaciers comes increase of ocean traffic from liners and cargo ships, and all the pollution that comes with them. And most devastatingly of all is the offshore drilling that will most probably result in oil spills. But why is this all happening to begin with?
Arctic sea ice is melting fast, having lost about 1 million square miles since the 1970s. Sea ice is a critical player of the Earth's changing climate. Clouds play varying roles in the Arctic because in some ways they block sunlight from entering the atmosphere and help preserve the ice, but in other ways they can hold heat near the Earth's surface. The Arctic is a really important part of the Earth's climate system, and we are changing it. Polar sea ice melts each summer and reforms each winter, a freeze-thaw cycle that in the Arctic has been dramatically altered by global warming. Not only is summer sea ice shrinking rapidly in the Arctic, but so is the average thickness of sea ice. In the past, some Arctic sea ice grew to 10 feet thick over multiple years, and now much of the ice has only 1 year of growth, making it much more susceptible to melting in the summer. The Arctic Ocean is expected to become essentially ice-free in summer before mid-century, and the consequences include accelerated warming from albedo. Lost sea ice exposes dark open waters, dramatically shifting the ocean surface from highly reflective to one that absorbs most of the sun's energy. This can set off a vicious cycle. Ice loss leads to further warming of the ocean surface, which can lead to more ice loss. Another consequence is accelerated warming due to higher Arctic temperatures. The loss and thinning of Arctic sea ice raises regional temperatures, delaying the formation of sea ice in the fall and transferring more heat from the ocean to the air. If higher air temperatures speed the degradation of frozen ground on adjacent lands, they could release vast stores of carbon often trapped in the permafrost for thousands of years, further amplifying climate change. A small temperature shift can have enormous implications on the Arctic sea ice. The warming itself may cause further accelerated warming or a positive feedback. For example, the loss of sea ice reduces albedo and changes the ability of the ocean to absorb carbon dioxide and heat. The Arctic is warming faster than the rest of the world. Why, you may ask? Shiny ice does not reflect the high proportion of the sun's energy into space. As the Arctic loses snow and ice, bare rock and water absorb more and more of the sun's energy, making it even warmer. This is called the...
With the introduction of warmer temperatures and melting sea ice, polar bears are running out of room to roam for food, so they begin to travel to southern lands that can bring them close to human contact. Contact between humans and the polar bears can lead to conflict for resources. For example, the Arctic tribespeople depend on seals for food, and an increase of polar bears within the tribe's territories will decrease the amount of seals available for hunting. If we can't preserve the sea ice that polar bears depend on, human lives could be lost too. As sea ice melts, sea levels will rise globally, and Arctic tribes won't be the only populations to be affected. Rising sea levels mean there will be a loss in land for global populations. Today we are already seeing the effects of current rising sea levels on coastlines, and we can only project that further rising will lead to even more issues. Even though we might gain the benefit of faster ocean travel for freight and transportation from melting sea ice, We will lose many lives inland in return. If we can't stop or slow down the melting of sea ice now, we might never see polar bears again and maybe even our loved ones.